Alright, so here we are with the first of the Nerd on the Street archive recordings. This is the alpha site. As you can see, the header says beta site. That is because it was originally called the beta site. I later renamed it to the alpha site. And this beta site was the first custom HTML website that I made for Nerd on the Street. It was not the first custom HTML website I have ever made. The first HTML website that I had ever made was JK the site. And maybe I'll make an archive entry on that at some point. For now, though, we're just talking about Nerd on the Street. So this was the first custom Nerd on the Street website I made. At the time that I made this, I was using Google Sites for the main nerdonthestreet.com website. So this was found at beta.nerdonthestreet.com. As you can see, it was not the prettiest thing in the world. I did use a couple of things that made this website semi-future-proof. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a modern website, but as you can see, I did use flexible widths for these. The menu is collapsing, and the main body div does collapse to a certain extent, and they do expand up until this point. For some reason, I made that the maximum size to expand to, even though obviously on modern monitors, I'm not sure how much of that you can see, but there is probably twice as much white space as there is actual content. But I was developing this on a Dell Trinitron CRT. It was 1600 by 1200 resolution, so I was developing this just for anybody's monitor to be able to handle, not just, you know, power users' monitors. So as you can see, I've got this weird thing going on where we've got the sidebar here, and then we have our main content div, the overflow scrolls. And that's kind of weird. Normally what you want to do is you want the entire website to scroll up and down. But I wanted this footer here to float there all the time, and I didn't know how to actually make it float in front of the other content. So instead of making that float, I just made everything else not cover it up. Let me expand this a little bit. There we go. Now it's too big for the video. As you can see, the idea was the outer website has no scroll bar. The inner website is what scrolls. Of course, if you make the website too short, then there's a scroll bar on the outside anyway, which defeats the purpose. But yeah, I set the height of the entire website to 100% and then made this div overflow scroll, and that's how I accomplished this. As you can see, I was putting a lot of focus on the articles because I used to think that the only purpose of websites, or of my website at least, was for articles. Now, of course, I've got forums and lots of other things, but originally I had my YouTube channel and my website was just for articles. I mean, there was no point to my website other than articles. If I had taken the articles off of the website, then the website would be empty. So yeah, we have our featured article on the front. I've got how I fix almost any Windows-based problem, which it's got that video there talking about how I fix any Windows-based problem. And that video actually got me flamed a whole lot, so I took that video down, or at least made it private. As you can see, it's still up, but it is private. That's pretty much the only video I've ever had to actually take down, which I'm pretty proud of. I'm kind of ashamed that I had to take a video down, but you know, you have to do what you have to do. But yeah, I used to do some articles were standalone articles, and then shorter articles were companions for videos. So if I couldn't come up with enough stuff to write, then I would just make a companion video, and that would be my excuse. So yeah, at this point, all I had was an embedded channel trailer, the featured article, the embed video for the featured article, and I had this articles page that I made. Oh, and by the way, there was originally also an advertisement in the menu here, so this menu looks pretty empty. It was pretty empty, but there was a banner ad on the side. You cannot see the banner ads anymore because these are no longer on nerdonthestreet.com. These are now on my IP address, and the Google ads don't show up when they're not on the correct domain. But yeah, there was a banner Google ad right there from AdSense. So that menu was not just empty. So we've got this articles page, and if I click on that, the link is broken because I used to hard code everything through the URL, which was kind of dumb. But if I erase all of that, this was the articles page. As you can see, once again, we have the div scrolling here, and we have a floating, you know, quote-unquote floating footer there. And by the way, on this website, the color scheme was not meant to be final. This was not supposed to be the final colors. This was a color scheme that was easy for me to see where the different things were. And I didn't think it was too ugly at the time. I know that I've got a different taste in colors than most other people do, so I didn't really have a problem with this color scheme, but I was planning on changing the color scheme, getting rid of the powder blue, making these something other than different shades of gray. I was planning on changing all of that before this became the quote-unquote regular site, because right now it was still the beta site. So yeah, we had a featured article on the home page. We also have a featured article on the articles page, because once again, at this point, the website was just for articles, so I really wanted to push those articles. This was an example of an article that did not have a companion video, and as you can see, if we crush this down, we have once again dynamically resizing divs. You can see the all articles list here. This was not all of the articles that I had written. These were only the 2 that I put on the website. This was on the index page. This was on the articles page. There were other articles that I had written on the Google site, and I was planning on moving those over to the beta site over time, but I just didn't. I ended up making the next version of the beta site before that. So yeah, if you clicked on one of these, and once again, link is broken. If you clicked on one of these, you got a page that was just the article. And the idea was, I know right now it seems like they're not going to be fluid at all, and that's because they're not fluid when I have to type in the different IP addresses every single time I click on a freaking link. But as you can see, I had those YouTube videos sized appropriately for the maximum width of the article. And the idea was that you could click between articles and just go between articles, and that the layout would look the same. It was my idea of a web app. You were not supposed to be able to tell the difference between web pages. Everything was supposed to stay still except for the inner content. Now that doesn't really work because of this scroll bar, but if we get rid of the scroll bar, yeah, you can see if we click back and forth, everything else does not stay the same because we have a YouTube video messing up our formatting on this page. But, you know, the idea was that you can see the menu is staying exactly the same. It's not moving 1 pixel. Everything was supposed to stay the same except for whatever content was changing. It was supposed to be like a web app. Which, once again, that's another reason why we had the quote-unquote floating footer, was because it was supposed to be like a web app, only completely coded in HTML4. So yeah, that's all that was on the alpha site. And once again, I originally called it the beta site, but if we go back to the home page, it was the first version of the Nerd on the Street website that was not on Google Sites. So yeah, I'm kind of proud of this still. I do like the idea of what I was doing. I know it looks horrible. And at this point, you're saying, Jacob, how could you possibly have actually been proud of this website? How could you have put this with your name and associated with this website? It's got a horrible color palette, and you've got a freaking div with a scroll bar. I mean, if you forget all of your regular things that you're used to in websites, and you just pretend like this is the first website you've ever seen, and if you've got your browser sized appropriately where you don't see a scroll bar on the outer portion of the website, then really, if you had seen this at the time, you would not have hated it so much. So yeah, you can see once again, there's our channel trailer.
Hey, what's up, guys?
From spring 2014. And yeah, once again, that was the entire beta site. There was a banner ad on the side here, and that was it. There might have actually been 2. I can't remember if there was 1 or 2 banner ads. There might have been like 2 short ones, because I feel like that's still a whole lot of empty space. Even if we had a normal sized banner ad, would have gone down to about here. But yeah, we had horizontal rules separating each of the links on the menu, and that is the Nerd on the Street alpha site, preserved forever for posterity in the form of video. So I'm Jacob Kaufman, I'm Nerd on the Street, and I will see you guys later. See ya.